The Michael Jackson biopic officially premiered in theaters this weekend, and I am so glad that I finally have the opportunity to do a review for you all. Now, quick disclaimer, if you are a Michael Jackson fan, more than likely you're going to enjoy this film if you haven't seen it already. In this review, I'm going to start off with the things that were good in my opinion, then get into the things that were bad or that didn't really do it for me, and at the end of the video I'm going to tie it all together and give just my overall opinion of how I felt about the film in its entirety. Welcome back to the Voiceovers Podcast. I'm 24K Logan. So I am a Michael Jackson fan. I mean, obviously I got on the Michael Jackson Thriller shirt and I have the Michael Jackson Thriller vinyl right behind me. Now, for this movie, the first thing that actually worked perfect for me was the choreography. Jafar Jackson as his uncle, Michael Jackson, was the perfect casting. I don't think that they could have made a better choice. I've said on this channel the last time that I saw anyone do Michael Jackson some justice portraying him was the late Wiley Draper in The Jacksons: An American Dream. Jason Weaver also did a good job as the young Michael Jackson when the Jackson 5 was first starting off. But moving forward with that, Jafar Jackson as his uncle was perfect. I mean, from the mannerisms to the way his voice sounded, to the choreography, to the energy, the passion, you can see by watching this film that Jafar really trained hard and went through a lot of gruesome preparation to pull this role off. I mean, after all, this is the king of pop, the greatest entertainer / artist of all time, in most people's eyes anyway, right? So that worked for me. The acting, Coleman Domingo as Joseph Jackson, phenomenal. He brought a intimidating presence playing Michael Jackson's father. Every scene that he was in was intense. You can just look at his face, his facial expressions, his tone of voice, the way he carried himself, and just how much of an impact he had on Michael's life. You can clearly see that in the film. Now, another thing that worked out good for me was the fact that the movie almost seemed like it was a celebration of Michael Jackson's life. And everything from the choreography to getting into a bit of Michael's personality and painting him in the most positive light possible, showing his abilities and his talents. Antoine Fuqua and the entire cast and crew did a fantastic job of that. Now, I'm going to move on to the bad. The portrayal of Joseph Jackson. As good as Coleman Domingo was, Coleman Domingo's acting was not a problem. He was phenomenal. This is just kind of my interpretation of it. It's almost like the premise of the film, aside from celebrating Michael's life, was showing the toxicity in terms of the relationship between him and his father. They made a big part of the movie like Michael was surviving Joseph Jackson, or we're seeing what it's like for him trying to escape from Joe Jackson's thumb and become his own artist. That was a big part of the film, painting Joseph Jackson as the villain. Now, I don't condone child abuse. I know everybody disciplines their children different, and I totally respect that and understand it. But just for me, when I go back and watch the Jacksons: An American Dream film and how they had Lawrence Hilton Jacobs portraying Joe Jackson, it's like they humanized him a bit in that film while also showing his harsh side. But in this film, in the Michael film, it's like every single scene he was in, every mention of him, every moment that you saw Coleman Domingo as Joseph Jackson, they made him like this evil son of a bitch person. Could he have been like that in real life? Possibly, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, I was not around Joseph Jackson. A lot of us were not around him. Now, we can attest to the fact that we've seen Michael talk about him in interviews, and a lot of the times it wasn't the most pleasant conversation. He would, talk about how when his father would walk in the room, or he would sense his presence, he would vomit, like quite literally vomit, or he would get sick to his stomach or whatever. And while that may be true, the fact of the matter is that Joseph Jackson did play a part in the Michael Jackson / Jackson family dynasty. Not condoning any of the abuse or his harsh behavior. I mean, you stand where you stand on that. But I think that is the biggest issue that I had with the film, is they didn't give him any type of grace. They didn't humanize him at all. They made him seem like the most evil person in the history of planet Earth, and I just didn't appreciate that. But moving on, another thing that, it wasn't even a bad thing, but the pacing. The pacing of the film could have been a lot better. Now, obviously, when it comes to Michael Jackson, most of us, probably the first thing that comes to mind is the superstar Michael Jackson when he was in his prime, the 1980s, i.e. Thriller and the Bad era, right? I understand that. But I do think that they could have spent a bit more time on the development of Michael Jackson during his childhood and teenage years. It's like the film started off in 1966, and it's like by the time I blinked my eyes, they were already at Thriller. Like, that's what it felt like when I look back at it. I wish they had spent more time during his Jackson 5 era, although I understand this is a Michael Jackson film, not a Jackson family film, so I won't give them too much criticism on that, but I do wish the pacing was better. And that leads me to my third point. With this film as its entirety, right? This is what I have come to accept when it comes to Michael Jackson. You are not going to make a film about Michael Jackson that's going to satisfy the entire audience, or even the majority of the audience. And whether you hate Michael Jackson or you love Michael Jackson, whether you grew up when Michael Jackson was in his prime years or you weren't old enough around that time, you cannot make a Michael Jackson film that's going to satisfy everybody, because there's so much layers and complexity to his life from childhood up until he tragically passed away. There's a lot that you have to dive into with somebody like Michael Jackson in terms of their psyche, their personality, their day-to-day, what made Michael what we knew him to be, what we know him to be today, right? There's a lot that you have to try and capture, and in a 2.5-2 hour film, you're just not going to do it. There is speculation and reason to believe that there will be a part 2. I hope that they're going to do a part 2 of the Michael movie. Actually, at the end of the film, right when they were done with showing him performing on the Bad tour, it said his story continues. That's what it said at the very end of the film, right when the end credits were about to roll. It was a pitch black screen, and it said his story continues. Everybody in the theater, including myself, was like, oh man, y'all gotta do a part 2. Y'all gotta do part 2. People definitely gave the film a standing ovation, cheered, clapped, whatever, but everybody left the theater wanting more. And it just goes back to my point of, it's hard to make a Michael Jackson film that not only captures his essence and gets everything or the majority of the things in his life right, but to try and, I guess, satisfy the majority or all of the audience, whether you're a critic or you're a movie-going lover. That is what I have accepted about this film. And as I stated in the beginning of the video, if you are a Michael Jackson fan, 9 times out of 10, you will enjoy this movie. You might walk out thinking, damn, they could have gave us more. But I think at the end of the day, as a Michael Jackson fan myself, I definitely enjoyed this movie. This was a prime example of do not always listen to the critics. I'm going to say that again because I've said it twice already in the shorts that I uploaded last night. This is a prime example of do not always listen to the critics, because I've seen some terrible films in my lifetime, and all bias aside, this was not a terrible film. It was not a perfect film, not at all. This was not a perfect film. It was a bit rushed. I wish they spent more time on his childhood. I'm very reserved. I'm very reserved on how they portrayed Joseph Jackson, but I'm gonna leave that up to y'all on how y'all feel about that. It is what it is. And like I said, I just walked out the theater wanting more. But at the same time, again, this is a 2.5 hour film. And in this movie, they covered everything, or tried to cover everything, from 1966 up until the year 1988. So you're talking 20 years, 20 something years. You're trying to capture all of that in a 2.5 hour movie, and let alone it just so happens to be about the greatest entertainer / artist to ever live. It's going to be very difficult to please everybody. And I don't even think that was Antoine Fuqua's intention with the film, was to please everybody. I think he just wanted to do Michael Jackson some justice. I think he did, but the film definitely could have been better. But overall, this was not a terrible film. If you have not seen the Michael Jackson film, the Michael Biopic, please do yourself a favor and go see this film, especially if you are a Michael Jackson fan. And if you have already seen this film, comment down below and let me know what you think about the film. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you leave the theater feeling like they could have done more? Do you have mixed reviews on it? Just let me know what you think, and if you think they will and should do a part 2. That'll do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We have plenty of content on the way. I'll be doing a little bit more coverage on the Michael film. As I stated, I am a Michael Jackson fan. And thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, peace and love to everybody.